I will not touch the microphone. Hopefully it'll stay on. I'm honored to be here tonight to present the Mid-Missouri chapter of the Association United States Army's highest award, the Colonel Edward A. Owsley Superior Service Award. In your program, there's some information about Colonel Owsley and then also our 4 recipients tonight. But I did want to just give a couple of personal vignettes on Colonel Ed, as we all knew him here. A little bit of history. Colonel Ed was born in Marshall, Missouri in 1913. He joined the Missouri National Guard in 1931. He was activated into regular service in May of 1941 and sent to Camp Robinson, Arkansas, where soon after he led one of the first convoys bringing equipment and trucks and vehicles to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, or actually what would become Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So he's here from the beginning. He went on to serve World War II in the Far East. After the war, he returned back to Fort Leonard Wood and served on the staff of General Sturgis, as in Sturgis Heights, and ties back to continuing honoring former officers and enlisted soldiers that have served here. Went to Europe, served on Creighton Abrams' staff in Europe after that, and then was assigned to the Pentagon for a number of years. While he was at the Pentagon, in the category of other duties as assigned, which included staffing up a new startup organization called the Association United States Army. He told me on one of our many trips into the annual meeting that he helped draft some of the original organizational documents for AUSA on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial at night after he'd spent the day in the Pentagon. Colonel Ed was extremely proud of this organization and very proud to have been a small part of that as he worked on staff work beginning this organization. He returned to Fort Leonard Wood, served in various positions, and retired as Chief of Staff in 1966. He did retire, but he never took off his uniform. There are others that are guilty of that, Jack Butler. And he remained active and involved. He trained, mentored, directed, and tasked many public and private and military leaders. There are times that I wondered if a few of the former Fort Leonard Wood commanders dreaded his staff brief worse than they did the trade-out commander. I'm sure that's a little bit of a jest there, but Colonel Ed loved Fort Leonard Wood and loved the Army. Colonel Ed led by example, and no one cared for the Army and Fort Leonard Wood more than he did. So we're honored and happy that this chapter acknowledges highest award in his name back a decade or so ago. And to present the first award, Colonel Ed Owsley Award, I'd like to call to the podium Larry Sexton.
I'm privileged tonight to introduce our first recipient of this most distinguished award we have for superior service to AUSA. You know, AUSA, as I'm sure you're going to hear from Sergeant Major of the Army Preston, voice of the Army, support for the soldier. But what does that mean on a chapter level? The great chapters, best chapters, have great leadership, and they also have dedicated volunteers. Nobody epitomizes the volunteer effort more than Debbie Crawford for our chapter. Debbie has done countless hours of service on her own time. She's participated in picnics and barbecues and newsletters and a variety of things. She's been the unseen person, behind the scenes person on our congressional breakfast that we have at the annual meeting. And for many years, Congressman Skelton hosted this. Most recently, Senator Blunt's hosted this. Debbie's the person that has not only taken care of the menu and the itinerary and the bio for the keynote speaker, and many of these keynote speakers have been Chief of Staff of the Army, that type of person, and of course their staff. seating menu program, not only taking care of it, but publishing and printing it, and so many other things that she's done. I cannot think of a more deserving person than Debbie Crawford for this Ed Owsley, Colonel Ed Owsley Superior Service Award for our chapter. Debbie?
Congratulations, Debbie. To present the next award, I'd ask the Command Sergeant Major retired George T. Newcomb. Come forward.
Well, good evening, everyone. I have some remarks to make here. I want to do a presentation, and I was reading over my remarks and decided that this fact that I need glasses is getting pretty serious. So I have in my hand my wife's glasses. My son dared me to ask General Smith for his glasses. But I said no way, because I know that he would give them to me, and then I'm not sure if I'd still be able to see. So I may put my wife's glasses on here for a few minutes, so please don't make fun of me. I'll let you know if these work. Thanks to you all. Well, tonight I have a great honor of introducing Command Sergeant Major retired Bob Dills as our chapter's newest recipient of the Colonel Ed Owsley Award. And I also want to make mention before I continue on and talk about Bob is reflect back on the fact that in 2009 I had the good fortune of introducing his wife Trudy as an AUSA recipient for the Ed Owsley Award. And I can tell you, before we talk specifically about Bob, I think everybody here in the room would agree that this would be very hard to find a family that's contributed more to AUSA over the years, and specifically to this chapter. So if we could give them a collective round of applause for this. So, I'm looking. So anyway, Bob's unwavering dedication, hard work, and support to the Mid-Missouri chapter of the Associated United States Army has earned him a place in our chapter's history along with some of the most distinguished citizens that have served our community. This award is the highest honor that our chapter can bestow upon one of its members, and it's only appropriate that we recognize Bob has given us his very best for many years. His commitment to AUSA, soldiers, families, civilians, and our community has been nothing short of remarkable. Bob has always understood the significance of being an active and engaged member of this great association, and his enthusiasm, his passion, and his commitment to this chapter's goals are exceptionally consistent with the spirit of this great award created in honor of the legendary Colonel Ed Owsley. If Colonel Ed were here tonight, he would be extremely proud of you, Bob, and all of our awardees, and especially this chapter for having the wisdom to recognize all of your invaluable service. Command Sergeant Major retired Dills has been a member of AUSA since 1974. Throughout his career, he has proven to be an extraordinary advocate for soldiers, families, and civilians. His legendary leadership and staunch support for the Association of the United States Army have been hallmarks of his great career. His service to the Mid-Missouri chapter spans a remarkable 16 years. During this time, he has demonstrated a profound commitment to AUSA and thereby to soldiers, families, civilians, and our communities. His personal involvement in our chapter is reflected in the impact our association had and continues to have on countless soldiers and their families. He has distinguished himself, much like Colonel Owsley, through his support to our wounded soldiers, our recognition of our distinguished men and women in uniform, supporting our national and regional meetings, supporting our chapter's scholarship program, supporting our chapter's annual trip to the National Convention, and increasing our individual and corporate membership. His support for AUSA through his well-known leadership by example continues to be his greatest contribution to this outstanding association. There are approximately 130 local AUSA chapters worldwide, and without a doubt, this is one of the very best. This chapter has been recognized as such at the national level in recent years, and we recognize that our success is achieved through the selfless service of great American patriots like Bob and Trudy Dills, and many of you here tonight. Bob, you have had a direct impact on this great chapter, and we thank you for all that you have done. Your accomplishments have been significant and are ongoing. In closing, I ask that everyone here tonight let Bob's unparalleled service be an inspiration to us all as we continue to pursue the goals of this great chapter and the Association of the United States Army. Please remember that it all starts with individual and corporate members who make the difference, and if there is only one professional organization that you belong to, let it be the Association of the United States Army. Congratulations again to you, Bob. Thank you very much for being a part of this great chapter and especially allowing us to honor you here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Command Sergeant Major Retired Bob Dills.
That is small.
Just a quick alibi. I want to say thank you to the chapter for recognizing my son with the scholarship that he awarded for the chapter, and also that my daughter about 4 years ago this time was a recipient of the award. So we appreciate, my family does very much that, and we look forward to continuing to be a part of this great chapter. Thank you.
To present our next honoree, I'd like to ask Mike Dunbar to please come forward.
It's my pleasure to be here tonight to introduce your next awardee of the Ed Owsley Award, Julian Harrison. Julian probably doesn't remember the very first time I met him was back when I was a young JAG officer. I just arrived at Fort Leonard. I know I still brag I'm a JAG officer, but it was in 1984. Jan and I just arrived here, and as this new JAG officer, I was tasked to go to a meeting in Waynesville. Didn't know what I was doing. I was told to go, so back then I saluted and said, "Yes, sir." I get to the meeting, and it's a lot of businessmen, a lot of old bald-headed guys like me, and I thought, "Oh Lord, what have they got me into?" The first person I met was Julian Harrison. He probably doesn't remember me. I had hair back then, and he walked up and he said, "How you doing, Captain? My name's Julian Harrison. How long have you been here? What can we do for you? You bring your family with you? Where are you from? If you need anything, let me know." That was my first experience outside the front gate. And for that, I remember him. He wasn't trying to sell me something. He wasn't trying to solicit anything. He was concerned about a soldier that didn't know anybody. And that just exemplifies this man. If you look in your program, his service goes back before 1975, but there's the neatest picture of him giving the AUSA award in 1975 to a PSC. That is a real example of how he did things. He didn't ask for credit. He didn't ask for thank yous. He didn't ask for recognition. All he wanted to do was serve his community. I can think of no better person to recognize tonight other than Julian Harrison. And with that, it's my distinct pleasure to recognize Julian Harrison. That's a proud family, Julian.
For our fourth award, I'll introduce our final awardee, Mr. Bill L. Ransford. Bill's bio is listed in the program, and as Mike said about Julian and many others, Bill Ransford has long roots here with the association and with Pulaski County. Bill was born and raised in Pulaski County, and I'm sure he'll gladly tell you that part of the Fort Leonard Wood base is on his ancestral family farm. So to say he doesn't have roots there would be wrong. Bill's a Waynesville High School graduate in 1965, studied at the School of Mines, which is now the Missouri S&T in Rolla. His wife Pat and Bill have two daughters, Leanne and Amy, who are here tonight, and two of his 6 grandchildren are here. One thing I can say about Bill Ransford, he doesn't talk about doing things, he just does it. He's always been a doer. He's been one of my mentors that I've looked up to as I followed along behind him. I'm very proud of him. He's actively supported our region in every area you can: civic, fraternal, city government, state government, and at the national level serving on the Board of Trustees. Pat really deserves this honor for putting up with Bill for all these years. But I'm sure, as always, she'll smile and let Billy take the limelight again. For all these actions, the Mid-Missouri chapter of the Association of the United States Army awards Mr. Bill L. Ransford the Colonel Ed Owsley Award for superior service. Bill Ransford.
I'm really sorry you the 3 didn't speak. General Smith, yes. I just, Keith, sitting back there reading that, I wanted to say just a couple things. Sergeant Major, you're joining a august group tonight and being the speaker. And I'd be really remiss if I did not recognize 2 of my oldest and dearest friends that put me on this journey. That's former Command Sergeant Major, Post Sergeant Major Jack Butler, and Harold Baxter. Would you guys raise your hands? Two great old soldiers that made me look good. And I was thinking about AUSA, 2 things stood out. One thing, with the Audie Murphy Club, we were trying to think it had to be in the early to mid 70s. Our guest speaker was Omar Bradley. General Bradley called in on the intercom system and was our guest speaker at an event very much like this. And I thought that was a real honor to hear Omar Bradley address this group. The second thing, General, reminded me of a comment I made to you last night when I said not all things appear as they are. And so not only sitting at that table with guys like General Sullivan and 4th Sergeant Major of the Army, Bill Bainbridge, I had a lot of fun in Washington doing that, serving the people, but kind of a humorous story that you'll enjoy is I was over at the club as the chapter president, and on my right was Congressman Skelton, on my left was Max Thurman. And so Max Thurman was the speaker, General Thurman, and we were getting ready to go into the next stage of the meeting, and one of the bright young officers walked up and said, "You 3 gentlemen, the next part of this meeting is going to be long, so you might want to take advantage of the facilities." So the 3 of us got up, went up the stairs, and as we were standing there, Congressman Skelton said, "General Thurman, my neighbor was General Hogue, and as we build this great building on 400 Wood, I'd like for you to name this building after General Hogue." General Thurman never said a word, stood there a minute. And he said, you know, Congressman, I'm up for reassignment, for extension of my service, and I need a sponsor. And I've never told this story before. I've never told this story before. General Thurman said, I need a sponsor to extend my military career. Nothing was said. We went back to the room. General Thurman, of course, got his career extended, went to Panama, and sir, you sat in the hotel. And that happened at an AUSA dinner, an NCO club on Fort Leonard Wood. Not everything is as it appears. I wouldn't take anything for that experience and the many others that I had in my 30-some years of public service, and I've enjoyed serving the people of Fort Leonard Wood and Pulaski County. Thank you all for this great honor.
Some great stories, not just from Bill, but from all four recipients tonight. Again, we continue with the sustainability theme, and we go through and